That's the vulnerability of Zerg mobile detection. Overseers are armored and take extra damage. If I can find the Overseer, I'm sure it'll be joining the army. It's with the army now. 200 health, no 1 armor, and are armored themselves, so they take extra damage from Stalkers. Corruption going down on the Colossus, taking fire from the Corruptors. Idra's army moving forward, focusing down the Colossi with the Corruptors, forcing iNcontroL to blink backwards. Overseer still up, so he's got a way to fight these Dark Templar. Interestingly, not choosing to go south, instead choosing to engage iNcontrol's army. Overseer gets sniped. These Dark Templar again having free reign, forcing Idra back once again. We have another Overseer in production. And an Archon warping in. Idra doing a great job just building tons and tons and tons of Hydralisks since he's been able to cut down these Colossi so quickly. Still, Idra moving forward. A misrallied Colossus is going to go down. Going to go down? Is he? Yes, Idra moving up, forcing the engagement. Target firing the high health Colossus instead of the low one. Both go down. Idra content to have just traded for the Colossi, doing a great job keeping that Colossus count down, preventing them from getting up a critical mass at the point where the Colossi could just shred through Idra's army with absolutely no answer. Idra continuing to reinforce with quite a few units. Looks like he wants to do some serious damage. Interestingly, not moving down towards that third base that he knows is there. The engagement happening now is iNcontroL pushes down with one Colossus, gets focused immediately, but does tons of damage to the arc of iNcontroL. Idra, iNcontroL blinking back, pulling back into his natural. Still interesting that Idra choosing not to move up there, finally moving up on that natural, knowing that iNcontrol's army is behind him. Pulling back out to engage the Stalkers, but without a Colossus. Ooh, picking off that Overseer once again. Another one immediately begins warping in. The Dark Templar, ooh, the Pylon gets sniped, unpowering all 4 of those gateways, effectively halving iNcontrol's gateway count. Engagement going on. Overseer just now finishing. Those Dark Templar are dead. The Stalkers blink back. Idra moving back up into the third. Picking off a gateway. Canceling a Pylon. Moving back to an engagement is iNcontroL trying to save his third. Colossus doing huge damage to the line, getting picked off. iNcontroL with enough to continue to clean this up, but more Stalkers warp in from the now Pylon-powered gateways. Going to be able to clean this up. Reinforcements moving up for Idra. iNcontroL blinking backwards, forcing iNcontroL to come up the choke. Overseer hanging back so it doesn't get sniped. More Zealots warping in, and the third base will be safe. Idra finally taking his 5th base. Interestingly, it looks like he's opted for more of to sort of go for that kill sequence, though it doesn't seem to be working just yet. Doing a good job keeping the Colossus count down. Now, if Idra pushed up into iNcontrol's natural, he'd be able to pick off that Colossus easily. All the warp gates are on cooldown right now. But no, Idra sitting back, waiting for reinforcements, allowing iNcontroL to reinforce. Now the natural is almost completely undefended. 2 Colossi moving across, but Idra does not see them. Now moving over, target firing them. Target firing different Colossi, picking off 2. Third Colossi now going down, but Idra's army getting completely cleaned up by the other ground forces of iNcontroL. Excuse me. Idra apparently floating tons of gas, opting not to mine any from his 4th or 5th bases, floating 1,400 gas at this point. Very few units in the field. It seems he's not able to... Excuse me, everyone. I'm really sorry about that. Ah, crud. Sorry for the pause, everyone. Just realized I'm going to have to split this video on YouTube. I'm not going to have an outro intro. Without further ado, back into the game. That's fine, I'll just split it later. I'll find a good spot for it. And you guys will just have to make do without the intro-outro that I provided in the first video I did, which hopefully everyone enjoyed. I still have 4 views, all of which are me, I think, so hopefully that gets watched more. I'll make a thread about it on Team Liquid after I upload these, or perhaps while uploading these. beautiful creep spread from Idra as he continues to just build units, re-macro. iNcontroL now almost evening up supplies. Idra's still about 10, 11 or so supply ahead of iNcontroL, taking his 6th base. The creep spread really very impressive. Is there an observer even out for no observer out at all for iNcontroL, so there's nothing he can actually do aside from target firing down a drone, or a zealot or something with Colossi that's standing on top of Creep Tumor. So the splash kills it. Corruptor's moving up, spotting spotting a pylon, what is presumably going to be the 4th base of... I keep hitting that. Presumably going to be the 4th base of iNcontroL. Meanwhile, Idra main and natural mined out. iNcontroL mined out in both his main and natural as well. Idra mining off of 1, 2, 3 bases, 3.5. iNcontroL mining off of only 2 at the moment, but with a very big force. Idra sitting back for maybe a little bit too long. 4 Colossi now up for iNcontroL. No sentries, interestingly. And with all this creep spread around, Idra going to have great mobility out here right outside iNcontrol's base. Surprised a little bit he's not deciding to push up into the natural to try and do some damage, maybe with like 8 to 10 roaches, and maybe force iNcontrol's hand. Instead opting to pull all the way back home. Oh, as a Dark Templar sneaks into his base and snipes the Spire. Did get anything else? No, just the Spire? Idra chasing it all the way back into that upper area. Idra apparently having knocked down his back rocks earlier. Still mining off of 3 bases to iNcontrol's 2. But the supply actually almost even. Idra walking a few corruptors right into iNcontrol's army. iNcontrol moving forward. Feels that 182 supply, finally with an observer now, and clearing out some creep, is enough to move forward, to justify moving forward. 4 now Dark Templars moving in, iNcontroL warping in over those rocks with the pylon. 4 Dark Templars moving into iNcontrol's main. Roaches trying to fight, but they just get run straight past, going to be cleaved apart by the +2 Dark Templar. Sniping an extractor that's already mined out, opting to withdraw now that Idra's bringing up a sizable portion of roaches, picks off one of the Dark Templar, 2 remaining. Meanwhile, iNcontroL continuing to clean up Creep Tumors, not breaking down the rocks just yet. Nope, now breaking down the rocks, waiting for his 5th Nexus to complete. Idra taking more gas, floating 2,000 of each resource, floating an absolute metric ton of larvae, and moving in with roaches to attack iNcontrol's 3rd. Surprised there isn't an additional attack going on simultaneously. Going to lose all those roaches while only depowering these gateways. Roaches moving up, spotting the 5th well, I believe you already knew about that 5th, but moving up, poking into the 5th, being decimated by cannons, not doing any damage whatsoever. Still, the roaches in the third, going basically unopposed, killing some drones until iNcontroL warps in more stalkers and moves down a Colossus to deal with him, moving his entire army back now. A little bit overkill. He probably could have been pushing while that was going on. Lots and lots of Hydras. 24. Now on the field for Idra. He's got to do something to deal with these Colossi. iNcontroL no longer producing Colossi, instead choosing to build 4 more gateways at his 5th base. 4 more gateways at his 5th base. He has 3 at his 3rd. Going to be likely reinforcing with just tons and tons of gateway units warped in from that 5th. Idra hanging back with only 52 ground units to losing 2 overseers. His detection now, well, he still has 2 overseers somewhere. Blinking on top of the corruptors, picking off a bunch of them. Engagement going on right now. No Colossi going down yet. Target firing one with the corruptors, but they're getting focused down by the stalkers. No Colossi go down. A huge loss for Idra. That was really unfortunate. He might not be able to stop this force in time. Spire, did he ever rebuild it? Yes, he did. The Greater Spire starting now, rebuilt in the third. But his sixth rather, getting picked. No, that was his fifth. Idra down to just 2 mining bases now as he counterattacks into the third of iNcontroL, depowering those gateways before pulling out and running up towards the natural with half the roaches, while the other half move up into the fourth. Idra looking to do what damage he can, maybe halt reinforcements and stall for as much time as possible while he researches Ground Carapace 3 and builds 8 more Corruptors. Going to be sniping a Pylon, which is not going to be doing any real damage to iNcontroL, not depowering a thing. The Roaches going up into the main, ultimately not doing much, but the Nexus, the 5th base, getting sniped. Still 8 mineral patches remain. All these Roaches going to get cleaned up, inevitably, by iNcontroL, but doing a great job sniping a Nexus. As another Nexus goes down, the 6th base position, the map now split evenly between the two players. But Idra, again, only mining off 2 bases, effectively, right now. iNcontroL mining off of, really, 2.5. So Idra now actually behind in economy as he morphs in a Broodlord, likely going to be morphing in some more shortly. That is a lot of Hydralisks compared to the 4 Corruptors. Engagement coming in, Idra with a good arc, but his Hydralisk's dying so incredibly fast to the now 2 Colossi of iNcontroL. iNcontroL doing so much damage with his ground army, blinking on top of the ground army of Idra. Does lose all the Colossi, but 3 Archons and an absolute ton of Stalkers force Idra to leave the game. That was a great game. Very back and forth. I think if I had to pick a key moment out of anywhere, I'd have 2 in mind. First one was first Dark Templar warped in when Idra has absolutely no detection at all. Interestingly, a mothership now being built for iNcontroL at one of his Nexi, at the 5th base Nexus. And the second would be blinking on top of those Corruptors and picking off all the Corruptors without them taking down a single Colossus. All in all, I think it was a great game. I hope you all enjoyed watching it. Follow both these guys on Twitter. If you enjoyed the casting, follow me on Twitter at Seraph_SC2. And I will see you guys next time. GG.